On today's show, it's about a deer hunter and a sidekick he named Gilbert. It's a feathered friend that defies the laws of nature, a rough grouse that, in one word, is bizarre.
God, be quiet. We're looking for deer.
And later, in the northern Minnesota town of Remer, two entrepreneurs have launched a business thanks to a mushroom that grows on birch trees. Go on the hunt for the chaga.
There's our little mushroom.
Next, it's an art form combining form, function, and a lot of snow. We'll meet a Minnesotan who builds toboggans the traditional way. Those stories and more next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hi, everybody. Raven and I welcome you to the show. Coming up, one of the most bizarre stories I've ever done for Minnesota Bound. It's about a wild, rough grouse who's been given a name, Gilbert. Wait until you meet Gilbert. It's the fall of 2011, deer hunting time in Minnesota. Travis Edquist was on his way to check a few deer trails in the woods near Red Wing, Minnesota.
It was early morning. I had my four-wheeler.
Travis had no idea. He was riding into his own twilight zone, a place beyond ordinary, where things that don't make sense seem to do so.
He all of a sudden walked right up to me. I thought, this is a very goofy grouse. I was afraid I was going to scare him, but instead of scaring him, he ended up following me.
A wild, rough grouse following a deer hunter?
I only saw him once or twice that year.
Next deer season, the same thing.
And I couldn't figure out what was coming through the weeds to me until it got about 5 feet from me. And here it was that grouse. I decided I gotta get walking. So I started walking, and the little fella starts following me. The first 2 years, I told my dad and my brother about it, and they still hadn't seen him yet. They thought I was a little goofy. But eventually, the third year, they started seeing him coming around, and it was after that he was coming around every time we were down in the woods.
Travis soon named his feathered sidekick Gilbert.
Gilbert just kind of rolled off my tongue with a G. Gilbert the Grouse.
And every time Travis climbed into his deer stand,
he flew up into the deer stand with me. Rung by rung, he flies up the ladder. And then he likes to sit on the gun rail or on my shoulder. Come on, what you doing? What you doing? You coming? Are you hungry? Huh? Are you hungry? You gonna be quiet? We're trying to deer hunt. Looking for deer. Quiet. You gotta be quiet. We're looking for deer. Yeah, we're looking for deer. Shh. Gotta be quiet. Gotta be quiet. We're looking for deer.
in moments like this, we tend to seek a reasonable explanation for Gilbert's bizarre behavior. It began 6 years ago. That alone is remarkable. In the wild, rough grouse rarely survive more than 2 years.
Yes, I'm very sure it's the same bird.
But what possibly attracted Gilbert to a deer hunter?
When he first started coming around, I thought it was the thumping of the motor that drew his attention. But when it got into the heart of deer hunting season, I would park my ATV a long ways away and make my walk into the woods, and he would eventually find me.
Maybe there's another explanation for the behavior of this goofy grouse. Travis thinks so.
I don't know if it has necessarily anything to do with the ATV or not anymore. Some people have often suggested that it might be my grandfather coming back as a grouse. His most joy was to be out in the woods hunting with his grandkids.
Grandpa Bob introduced Travis to the ways of the woods. He died in 2002.
2002 on Thanksgiving Day, we were out deer hunting.
Is there somehow a connection between Grandpa Bob and Gilbert? Who knows? Nature forever leaves us with mystery and questions without answers. Hanging in the woods with Gilbert the Grouse, we can only wonder. When we return, Chaga is the name, and the hunt begins during the peak harvest season. You guessed it, the dead of winter.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota's Select GMC dealers, Rapala Ice Force, Star Bank, and by Connecticut.
Coming up, a story about a fungi that you may never have heard about. It's called the chaga, and it grows on birch trees in northern Minnesota. Fact is, it might be good for your health, but it has been good for two entrepreneurs who started a business with chaga. Travis Frank has the story.
At the self-proclaimed home of Bigfoot, signs and statues welcome tourists to the town of Remer. Population 370. Come winter, life here freezes to a crawl, except at Ice Cube Enterprises. Inside, business heats up thanks to a fungus called chaga. Nicknamed the medicinal mushroom, people can't get enough of it.
Chaga is a mushroom that grows on birch trees. Highly medicinal, very high in antioxidants. It is going to get noisy in here.
In his one-room workshop, golden nuggets grind to grounds. Shane Dugan prepares chaga for buyers he'll never meet.
See, a lot of places in Europe, Holland is very popular, France, even Australia, Singapore, pretty much global. We sell it online, we sell it on our eBay store, on Etsy, Amazon, and through our store on Main Street.
Shane and his business partner Ted Frick sold their first bag of chaga back in 2011.
I don't think we ever have a down day, it's just nuts.
But it's never been about money.
If we make $500 a month each, we're doing good. It's because we believe in the product.
And its ability to help others. To better understand chaga, they take me to find it.
You have to have two things. You got to have birch trees and you got to have cold climate. What's today? I think we zoomed up to 2 degrees. One of 10,000 birch trees that actually has chaga on it.
It'll stick out from a tree like this almost. It'll be almost the color of my gloves, and the inside will be an orangish color.
In a sea of white birch, we scan for a black growth.
There it is. There's our little mushroom. When you find it, you're going, oh no, now the work begins.
It's got all the things we're looking for. The nice dark black crust and the burnt orange color of the core flesh.
It's like gold growing out here in the forest.
Yeah.
Well, fill the pouch,
In the
huh?
bag she goes.
Chaga spores enter birch trees through wounds. Slowly, the mushroom grows.
20 to 25 years before it falls off the tree. We try to get there between year 10 and 17.
The birch tree is a healing tree. It's been considered sacred by the natives for many, many years.
There's a lot of hype about the product, but traditionally what it is an immune system stabilizer. It just makes your body work better. people who purchase from us use it for high blood pressure. It reduces high cholesterol. It's great for arthritis.
It's safe. I believe it's safe. I wouldn't make it if I thought it's just not worth someone getting sick. The good news is, for all the guys out there, it keeps you regular, and there's nothing wrong with being regular.
Call me the Chaga Master.
The Chaga Master.
Look at that mammoth grow.
That's a big enough chunk, right?
Yeah, I've noticed that. This has the potential of comedic relief. There she be.
There's a
That's
good
what
chunk.
you're looking for. Nice.
I'll send you the bill for Travis's tree services.
You find it, you chop it up, you dry it, then we grind it up.
All that for a cup of tea.
We ended up with cinnamon, clove, and honey.
Chaga cheers. That's good. That's really good.
It's delicious.
In this tourist town, it's clear. Bigfoot takes second to a creature growing for all to see.
Coming up, we travel to Warroad, Minnesota, where we find a craftsman in the art of toboggan making.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Minnesota Rebath.
You know, when it comes to sliding down a hill, almost nothing beats a ride on a toboggan. But how are toboggans made and who makes them? Well, we have some answers. In Warroad, Minnesota, winter's snowy blanket makes everything seem peaceful. Here at this quiet backyard workshop, the day is just getting started. And for the Harren family business, let's just say the snowy conditions are perfect.
This one's too short. We shoot to get them like 16'1".
John Harren is a craftsman of a winter tradition that's centuries old, making wooden toboggans by hand.
My understanding is that wooden sleds showed up in Canada about the time of the fur trade, so it was probably a European influence. And the first sleds were toboggans that were pulled by hand for a hunter on snowshoes.
A carpenter by trade, Harren credits his uncle for getting him into the toboggan business. John's uncle had heard of a toboggan shortage in the 1990s and encouraged John to take up an apprenticeship with a respected toboggan maker who lived in Manitoba, Canada.
It's a tool, I guess I think of it as a tool. The people that are buying our toboggans don't have a lot of resource, but it's a major purchase for them. It's a main thing. They need a snowmobile to travel there, and they need a sled. It's not an extra thing, or it's not like a hobby thing, or sporting goods or anything like that. It's a part of a necessity. We put a taper in the end that's going to be bent.
John mastered the craft, and Northern Toboggan and Sled was born. Since then, toboggan building has been a family affair.
We make toboggans. We've always made toboggans, I guess, about as far back as I can remember. It's just been our family farm. It's just been something that my dad does, and we help out along the way as much as we can.
And while John is now master craftsman, his work highly regarded, it's time for him to share the art of toboggan making. After all,
There's the steam chamber right there.
he's the only one who can.
Who make them commercially to supply. I think I'm the last guy. The stuff is bending pretty nice. Oh. We call it a bending jig.
That's what gives you the leverage to bend the board, but also that's how the board is stored until it's dried. Can you get that in, Ammon?
While John's children take part in other areas of the business, he needed to find an artisan of wood, like himself.
What's really going to be key is that we get the right apprentice in here, a person who is going to learn the trade and enjoy doing it.
Meet 26-year-old Ammon Jeffs, the apprentice.
I really enjoy learning these skills from the things that have been done for years and years, to know how it was done, instead of losing the ways it was done before. That's a way to put it.
John and Ammon have been working side by side in the shop since last fall, teaching and learning the art.
Is that clamp still tight?
Yes.
If we didn't keep it up, it would be a lost art.
It would be.
Yeah.
Like many other arts from even 1 or 2 centuries ago.
And Ammon's getting to know more about the people that are getting them, the end user, those communities.
The result is the art of toboggan making will not be lost. John and Ammon will see to that.
All right, she's done.
Up next, our Minnesota-bound classic this week, We Minnesotans Love Our Winters. We take a look at the quiet beauty of a Minnesota winter.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Mountain Dew, River Valley Power and Sport, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Time now for a Minnesota-bound classic. You know, a lot of folks wonder how we survive winter. Well, one of the joys of winter is the beauty. Beauty? Yeah, for sure. Go to the Boundary Waters in northern Minnesota and see for yourself. If you've ever wanted to get away from it all, here's how to get there. Hop on board an iron sled dog and head north into Ontario's wild and frozen snowscape. Follow a trail that winds over lakes with no names and crosses portages known only to fur trappers from an earlier time. Moose tracks cross a frozen lake and wander away to wherever moose go. Then it's onward down a trail maintained by a couple of Canadian outfitters. Gene and George Halley are brothers who lead winter adventures to one of their hand-built log cabins in the wild.
As we stand here, and you know the nearest people to this spot right now is probably 70 miles from us. It's, you know, we're back in the wilderness.
But as the first day ends, we're content to settle into the wilderness cabin, stoke up a wood stove, do a little cooking, and play a few hands of cribbage. Tomorrow is another day to see if the walleye fishing will be as good as a night of stillness in Canada. This is the place, boys. The hunt for walleyes was on, wind chill or no wind chill, but the walleyes turned out to be rather elusive. Hole after hole only invited more theories.
I think the next plan is we have to have a walleye come through one of these holes.
Gene was so sure the fishing would be easy, his choice of tackle raised a few eyebrows. You invested a lot of money in that pole, I see.
Yeah. It's medium action.
Medium action?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll confess, we got skunked. We fished in mittens, if you know what I mean. But when you go this far and see the remote north when it truly is a winter wonderland, well, just say we caught a limit of solitude. You know, it only proves winter or summer, spring or fall, Minnesota is a great place to live. Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors, winter or summer. I'm Ron Sharon, of course, the star of the show always. Are you paying attention? Yeah, is Raven.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.